All right, everyone. There's been a major switch up in British politics lately. I've been monitoring this topically, and I think I'm going to have to get more into monitoring it now. Keir Starmer, Rear Starmer, coming out and proposing that the UK should have a digital ID. On its face, it's to prevent illegals from immigrating by preventing them from being able to work. So this would be effectively all of your documents loaded digitally onto your phone, and without that, you're not going to be able to even wait tables, basically. This is a good idea in principle. It's sort of like with the similar requirement in the United States that they've been pondering for years and years. I oppose all such things. The concept of a digital ID is less secure. It's certainly not geared towards privacy rights. And if you think that the UK's current iteration of government is really interested in tackling illegal immigration as an issue, just look at what's been happening for a number of years. It's quite clear that the lib lab con sort of government there doesn't really care. In a rare moment, Nigel Farage and Jeremy Corbyn are both fundamentally agreeing for different reasons, but they're fundamentally agreeing on the basic premise. With Corbyn, it's more like, well, we don't want to impede people from coming to the country. With Farage, it's like, no, it's going to rob people of privacy and be used for more authoritarianism. That video that was posted widely the other day of a person quoting Bible verses and getting a warning for it, actually, being told you're not allowed to do that on Britain's streets. Or the or the 16-year-old girl that was carrying the Union Jack, actually, and standing there with a flag, and the officer walks up and grabs it away from her and tells her, apparently, in the UK, you're not allowed to fly the flag of the UK. Oi, mate, you got a license for that flag? You're not allowed to carry the flag of St. George. It might infuriate somebody from some other country, as though they're not now in your country and should probably abide by your customs. It used to be a saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. In the UK, it's more like, when in the UK, do whatever the hell you want, unless it's patriotic in nature, in which case it's illegal. The very, very strange country it's devolved into. It's nothing like the England that we were presented with when we were watching Mr. Bean as kids. It's unfortunately totally different. I think they should just go back to that, honestly, because it's much cozier, seemed to work better economically speaking, and was much less authoritarian. Give us more Monty Python and stuff like that instead of giving us all this authoritarian load of horseshit. Surprised they haven't banned that show. It might offend somebody. Mr. Bean might be conceived of as offensive among, this tribal group out in Siam or something like that. Very strange. Also, the Reform Party under Nigel Farage looks like it's going to notch a huge win, actually, in the UK. It's slowly gobbling up what was the Conservative movement. And Labour is embattled. Of course, Starmer is not necessarily well liked by the population, which is good. It's a good thing, in my opinion. Hopefully we get, like, Nigel Farage should be prime minister. Oh, that would really infuriate a lot of people. The left would start rioting almost immediately. You'd probably end up having to have a military response. And then Shermer said something the other day, and some of the reform people were saying it was basically a dog whistle to commit violent acts against Farage. See, it's allowed if you're on the far left. You're allowed to be violent then. We see the same thing in the U.S. If Antifa Cell shows up, they send out, crisis negotiators and social workers and stuff like that. If somebody's waving an American flag and gets punched in the face, it's the person waving the flag that now gets arrested, it seems. It's bullshit. When you're in your own country, you should feel safe in expressing patriotism towards your own country. You should be safe in expressing yourself and criticizing your government if you think it's falling short. This is a pretty simple concept that a third grader could understand. But we've gotten to the point where some people say, no, it's only if it's not offensive. But then you look at the subjectivity of what a person would conceive of as offensive, you won't even be able to say hello in the morning. Oh, you said hello? Well, that's not the Hindi term for greeting someone. I'm offended by this. How dare you assume that I speak English in the first place in England? Stranger things have happened. I wouldn't put it past the UK's government in its current iteration to pass rules of that nature. We see it all of the time. It's almost a daily occurrence. That's one of the problems with actually covering this kind of news, because the abuse is so rife, it's so widespread that it's impossible to talk about it all unless you wanted to have like a channel, and all it is, it's a daily wrap up of stupid things that have been done by a certain government. it would be difficult to have the 24 hours in a day wouldn't be enough to actually cover it all. You'd be live streaming while you were asleep, mumbling in your sleep about the latest news story, and that would be the nighttime coverage. Impossible. Even a network of people probably couldn't fit it all in. Certainly not if they were going to do any editing or anything like that. Have commercial breaks. Here's the new laxative. May cause indigestion and constipation. Sorry about that, folks. I'm glad to see that the people of the UK are waking up to this. Because in the last round of polling, something like only 20% of people opposed the digital ID. Now it's about 50-50. And it's moving in that direction. It's tacking along nicely with the rise of the Reform Party under Nigel Farage. What I would say is that anyone who supports conservative causes should get behind it as well. You can conceive of their platform as apparently some people do as racist. Well, people can illegally immigrate from various regions of the world. I can illegally immigrate to the UK. If you oppose that, I don't think that the average English person is white. You're not being racist if you tell me to get the fuck out of your country because I'm illegally there. Has nothing to do with the color of my skin. I'm illegally in the country. Here in the United States, we have hundreds of thousands of people from Eastern Europe especially that overstayed tourist visas and just remained in the country. This happens all the time. There are whole neighborhoods of people illegally from Ukraine and Poland and Slovakia and places, Romania, places like that. And I mean, I don't really give a fuck because there's nothing you can do about it per se, but they're there. If you were to crack down on those communities and say, look, you overstayed your visa for the last 5 years, you're illegally here, you have to go back. It's not based on some white supremacy or any racial notion at all. You are illegally in the country. It's a civic construct. This land is for the people that were born here or came here legally. That's it. Doesn't matter where you came from if you signed the paperwork and paid your fees and did your due diligence. The civic construct, an ethno-nationalistic one, the idea of blocking additional people from coming in, generally speaking, also for the UK makes sense. Don't you already have a massive housing crisis? What better way to take care of it than to import hundreds of thousands of additional people into the country? That makes a lot of sense. You worry about the environment, and yet you're cutting down little pieces of woods and slowly, marginally destroying your natural resources just to pack more people in like sardines. They're doing this in the Netherlands. You should see the amount of construction there. Especially like not just in Amsterdam, but all over the fucking place. You have to go up to Friesland to find an area that's still quiet and kind of countryside. By the way, Franeker, probably one of the greatest places I've ever been. Much love to the Frisian people. Frisian independence now. Now just get a Second Amendment going and, I'll have to learn another language, I guess. It sounds good to me. But here's the thing. They're even doing it there. You remember the tractor protests when they were trying to steal all people's farms and they said, well, we need to create wildlife corridors and stuff like that. That's not what they wanted. They wanted to put up more housing because they've imported so many people from other countries because it's sort of the place to be, especially if you're in finance and stuff like and business. Amsterdam is like, basically the Whore of Babylon at this point for that particular purpose. They've got cockamamie plans to build a mega city that would encompass much of the Benelux area and also extend out into France and Germany. So they're not exactly, they're a little bit screwy. They're a little bit loopy with their plans because they can't work. The UK should not have a digital ID. No nation should have a digital ID. The very concept should be banned outright. In fact, in the US, we might as well cut the head off the snake and ban it on a constitutional level. And it would probably gain widespread support if we did so, if it was properly told to people why it was a bad idea. Hey, you're basically ceding the Fourth Amendment. Hey, you're not going to be able to work if your phone breaks. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, well, there was an EMP. You're all out of a job because none of you can prove that you're actually citizens anymore because we stopped issuing paperwork in and of itself. That would be a terrible idea. That's about all. Peace out.